Welcome to today's episode of the Simply Financial Podcast. I'm your host, Christopher Calandra. Want to increase your financial IQ with today's episode. Today we're going to discuss Gen X, their preparedness as it pertains to retirement. So Gen X, that's my generation. These are people that were born between 1965 and 1980. I was born in 1970, right smack in the middle of Gen X. For context, there are approximately 65 million Gen Xers in the U.S. today. I'll also point out that we are also known as the slacker generation. A bit insulting, I think, but my generation, Gen X, I want to cite some research. Prudential Financial did some research in 2023. It was a survey that was done between March 31st and April 6th. They surveyed 2,000 pre-retiree Gen Xers, and they found that 35% of Gen Xers have less than $10,000 saved. That's pretty unimpressive. Another 18% had no savings. That's just ugly. It also means when you combine those two groupings, 53% had savings amounting to somewhere between $0 and $10,000. Not very good. I think we could all agree. So I think, in my opinion, there's some reasons for this, and I have lived through a couple of them. Let me cite 4 examples. It's not an exhaustive list, of course. There are many, many variables, including personal responsibility, but a few things. Number one is we are the first generation that is not widely supported by pensions that provided a great amount of financial security by way of lifetime income. First generation that is not widely supported by pensions. Number 2, early in our careers, we had to deal with 9/11 and what is commonly called the tech wreck. The country had 3 really rough years, 2000, 2001, 2002. The major stock market averages were down for 3 consecutive years. The aftermath of 9/11 was pretty bad, of course, difficult time. So for Gen Xers, that puts them in the range of about 20 years old to 35 years old. And it was definitely a big setback financially and otherwise. The third thing is the Great Recession followed soon after. 2007 through 2009 is generally considered the Great Recession. Again, this was another major setback. This was the worst economic period, maybe since the Great Depression, depending on what metrics you want to use. Maybe the late 70s is a better comparison. But regardless of the comparison, it was an incredibly difficult period. I think as an example, the Dow Jones Industrial Average went down by something like 45% from the peak in March of 2007 to the bottom, which was somewhere around March 1st of 2009, a really, really challenging time for the markets, the economy, and the country. And this came at a time when Gen Xers, my generation, were somewhere between age 27 and 42. I think the first 3 things certainly are impactful. And the last one I want to say is that we are also considered the first sandwich generation, where we are dealing with helping our parents who are blessed with having longer life expectancies. But often Gen Xers have responsibility financially, as well as healthcare support and other types of support with their parents as they age. Additionally, we have a lot of responsibility for our children. And in many instances, right, wrong, or indifferent, support of our children has gotten to older ages. It's not unusual for children to live at home longer than previous generations and need or get financial support later than other generations. So I think these are four things that heavily contribute to this. As I said at the top, not an exhaustive list, but just to review, first generation, not widely supported by pensions, had to deal with the tech wreck and the post 9/11 difficulties. That was in that 2000 through 2002 timeframe. Then the Great Recession, which was between 2007 and 2009. And lastly, the challenges involved in being a sandwich generation. So other research I wanted to point to, this one done by Allianz Life, they reported that 64% of Gen Xers are worried they won't save enough for retirement. This was done in 2023. 64%, that's an alarmingly high number. Additionally, Allianz did the same survey just 2 years ago in 2021, and it was 55% there. So it jumped from 55%, which is not a good number either, up to 64%. So it's a strong indication that Gen Xers are feeling greater financial insecurity and an increase in their worry about their retirement preparedness. The last bit of research I'll point out before I give some quick hints as to what you might want to do to improve your financial security is research done by Northwestern Mutual. This too is research that comes from 2023. They did a survey and found that 50% of Gen Xers believe that they will outlive their money. This, if you think about it, is directly tied to the first point I made about not having the support of pensions by and large. So this is just another data point that indicates there's a lot of financial insecurity and a lack of financial and retirement preparedness that Gen Xers are dealing with. And this is notable because the oldest of the Gen Xers, those born in 1980, are roughly 10 years from traditional retirement age. That means there is still time to get financial houses in order, increase financial security, build wealth, and be in a better position when you get to retirement. But this is a lot of worrisome information. Maybe this slacker generation, maybe we deserve our nickname. Hopefully not. So the purpose of this was just to share data, not really to give a whole lot of financial planning tips and tricks. You could look at lots of other episodes that we do in the Simply Financial podcast to help on your journey to become more financially secure. But a few quick notes is number one, you ought to have a financial plan. You probably, if you're struggling on this front, want to become more purposeful, more intentional over the next stretch so you could have a better financial future and a stronger retirement overall. And you want to have a plan to build wealth. That might mean decreasing debt, might mean increasing assets, might be a combination, but you want to have a plan to build wealth. I'll also say, and this is not surprising given that this is my chosen profession, I've been at it for over 30 years, is get some help. Most Gen Xers that are struggling with these numbers, the research tells us they don't get a lot of help and they don't have a plan. So get some help and get a plan. You can seek out our assistance. We would love to connect with you. Go to the website, elliottwealth.com. At the site, you could find more information about the work that my team and I do, and you could sign up for a complimentary consultation so we could talk about your financial goals, how we could get you to greater financial security faster, help you win with money. So please check that out. I'll be back with you on the next episode of the Simply Financial podcast very soon. Thanks for listening to today's episode.
The views expressed are not necessarily the opinion of SagePoint Financial Incorporated and should not be construed directly or indirectly as an offer to buy or sell any securities mentioned herein. Investing is subject to risks, including loss of principal invested. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. No strategy can assure a profit nor protect against loss. Please note that individual situations can vary. Therefore, the information should be relied upon when coordinated with individual professional advice. Please note, the information being provided is strictly as a courtesy. When you link to any of the websites provided here, you are leaving this website. We make no representation as to the completeness or accuracy of the information provided at these websites, nor is the company liable for any direct or indirect technical or system issues or any consequences arising out of your access to your use of third-party technologies, websites, information, and programs made available through this website. When you access one of these websites, you are leaving our website and assume total responsibility and risk for your use of the websites you are linking to. Securities and advisory services are offered through SagePoint Financial Incorporated, member FINRA SIPC. Insurance services offered through Elliott Wealth Management, LLC, not affiliated with SagePoint Financial.